Hello and welcome. My name is Biagio Mazza, Pastoral Associate at St. Sabina Parish in Belton, Missouri, and I'm here to welcome you to another Do You Know series question. Today's Do You Know question is, do you know the dimensions of our Catholic faith tradition that support inclusion and belonging? Pope Francis' vision of church is really based on the inclusive and expansive nature of church at the Second Vatican Council. To activate this very ancient and forgotten image of church, Vatican II defined the church as the pilgrim people of God, walking together in tune to the sounding of the Spirit, who directs and guides us in our faith journey. So for Pope Francis, the heart of the Vatican II Church is the process of synodality, which Pope Francis initiated in 2021 and will bring to a summary conclusion in the Synod on Synodality in 2023 and 2024. So this process of synodality is a process of walking together, listening to one another, especially to the marginalized in our midst, attuning ourselves to the Spirit's guidance and direction in our lives. Jumping off of Vatican II, reading the signs of the times to see where the Spirit is leading us. So in the various synod reports that have been returned to Rome from the various World Conference of Bishops, the report stressed the fact that the church is lacking in what it claims to be the universal and loving and inclusion of all. All the reports stress the reality that the church needs to be less judgmental and partisan and more welcoming and inclusive of all, especially the marginalized groups such as women, LGBTQ, the divorced and remarried, etc. So the reports stress that because the church is polarized, we have to somehow or other counter this polarization by really demanding that we return to the gospel values of Jesus Christ, who came to lift us up and to heal us, especially by reaching out to the marginalized and those on the periphery. So in the ministry of Jesus, we are called to love one another. Love, as Pope Francis clearly says, love is something that unites people, does not divide people. So as a result, we need to pay attention and bring those on the periphery and the marginalized into the very center of the church's life. This would be groups like the African Americans, Native Americans, victims of clergy sex abuse, those who are homeless and undocumented, those who are poor, the imprisoned, women, and so on. For Pope Francis and for Vatican II, this is what it means to be a missionary church. A missionary church that claims to really be inclusive and to be inclusive of all, and to be the mission of all who claim to be disciples of the Lord. So Pope Francis has proposed a rich image of the church, which really helps us in being inclusive and welcoming. And this is the church as a field hospital. Now, a field hospital essentially is a field hospital that cares for and heals and the wounds of all, regardless of who they are and where they come from. So as a church, we are all wounded and in need of healing. So by judging, excluding, and marginalizing of others from full participation in the church's life, we deny our need to be healed and to be loving. In other words, Pope Francis connects this very much with the Eucharist and the reception of the Eucharist. He says very clearly that the Eucharist is not a prize for the perfect, but a source of healing for all. And judgment, exclusion, and marginalization from the Eucharist does not heal, but actually aggravates the wounds themselves. Another part of our faith tradition, which is really important with regards to belonging and inclusion, is the primacy of conscience. So excluding others from participation in the church's life violates the primacy of conscience, which is that inner sanctuary in which human beings are in communication with their God, and which really no one can enter into. Welcoming and belonging respects the primacy of conscience. And finally, one of a strong aspect of our faith tradition stresses that conversion is a lifelong process in which God's grace works in the everyday circumstances of our lives, gradually moving us closer to God and to the community. So marginalization and exclusion disregards the gradual working of God's grace in our lives. So at the heart of our faith tradition, it is one of love, inclusion, and welcoming that unites and does not divide, and is attuned to the entire pilgrim people of God, especially the marginalized, as we have said. So the more we do this, the more we make real the reign of God, which Jesus came to proclaim and establish among us. So I hope this has helped to explain just a bit what the dimensions of our faith, of our Catholic faith traditions are that really support inclusion and belonging. And I hope you'll return again to more Do You Know series questions as we continue to delve into the essence of our faith traditions. Thank you very much.